Welcome to this webinar about integrating the environment in the youth mobility projects. My name is Marta Nuero and I will try to show you all the benefits and all the key questions about this. With a basic concept, mainstreaming is the integration of horizontal priorities in policies, programs, or intervention at all the stages from planning to evaluation. Environment is the external world that surrounds every living being and determines its existence. It is the set of closely interrelated natural and social elements in which the life of organisms develops and is made up of biological and physical beings. The human beings is an integral part of the environment and must relate to the other elements in terms of mutual dependence and complementarity without becoming the sole beneficiary of nature. A basic definition could be the air, water, and land, or on which people, animals, and plants live. So, mainstreaming environment means is the informed inclusion of relevant environmental concerns into the decisions of the projects and actions. In one word, we can say integration. Sustainable development is meeting the needs of the present generation without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Sustainable development is based on three pillars: seek to achieve in a balanced manner economic development, social development, and environmental protection. Resilience is the capacity of adaptation of a living being in the face of a disturbing agent or an adverse state or situation. According to FAO, the capacity to prevent disasters and crises, as well as to anticipate them. Buffer, account for or recover from in timely, efficient, and efficiently. And sustainability, including protection, restoration, and enhancement of livelihood systems from hazards affecting threats, affecting agriculture, nutrition, food security, and food safety. So, the introduction of the environment in the implementation of projects part in the environmental impact study. First of all, we need to know what is an environmental impact study. Environmental impact study is a study that needs to be carried on in specific projects, especially the ones that means constructions, for example, a road construction or a bridge or this kind of big project. So in this environmental impact study, you will need to have these pillars that we are seeing here. Once will be the general description of the project, including information on its location, design, dimensions, and other relevant project characteristics. Then you need to identify description analysis and, where is it appropriate, quantification of the possible significant direct or indirect, secondary, cumulative, synergic, many kinds of impacts that we will see later. How do we classify the impacts? Then we need to description of the various reasonable alternatives which relate the project under a specific characteristic, including the zero or the non-project alternative. So if maybe the warm or the hard that we are going to do is worse than the benefit of the project, maybe we should not do the project. Then we also have to contemplate the measures to prevent, correct, and, where appropriate, compensate for possible significant adverse effect on the environment and landscape. Of course, at the end, it needs to have an environmental monitoring program. So all these phases are in an environmental impact assessment. Usually, our projects, in youth mobility projects, will not have to have this kind of environmental impact assessment. But it's good to know, and I want you to know, because like this we can have like the index, how to approach to our identification. We will start with the project cycle. So the project cycle is divided in 4 stages. The first is initiating, that we will call identification as well. The planning, that we will call the designing of the project. The third one will be executing or implementing the project. And the fourth one will be the closing with the evaluation of the project. So we will focus in this project cycle, and we will see slowly each of its characteristics. We will start with the identification. So identification of a project. You need the reality check, means it is necessary to analyze the main environmental and climatic challenge in the region where the project is to be implemented to establish the links with the social and economic aspect. For example, the strategic plan for natural heritage and biodiversity. The overall goal in this plan is to halt the loss of biodiversity and the degradation of ecosystem services and to address the restoration. The process of the project identification should begin by gathering information on the context of the environment in which the project will be located. Once the area where the project is to be carried out has been identified, it is detected that it affects a relevant area, for example, the Natura 2000 network, natural or national park. This should be taken into account, and a change of location should be considered if the impact is going to be significant. The choice of the physical site should also take into account the proximity of the beneficiaries, whether they can walk or use public transport, or whether another means. An example of the country or the region, national and international environmental agencies, community, previous plan. Another one is the stakeholder analysis or the participation analysis. This analysis must identify all the parties that may be interested or affected in one way or another by the future of the project, possible beneficiaries, inter-parties, public and private institutions, specialists, etc. From here, they will be divided into 4 groups: direct beneficiaries, indirect beneficiaries, neutral, excluded, and harm opponents, and in the case of counterpart. At this stage, that it could be necessary to identify the different environmental organizations that are in the project's field of action to find out what their projects are in order to try to create synergies from the design. The project risk analysis or problem analysis. In this analysis, the problems that affect to a specific group are studied and ordered according to the cause-effect relationship. This analysis can be carried out with the direct beneficiaries of the project. At this point, will be necessary to detect all the problems related to the analysis that we are carrying out, and it here when the analysis of the problems that affect the area or the project must be included. We will then choose the local problem or the one that we focus on, but we must not neglect the environmental problems that we have detected. Objective analysis or target analysis. This point is when we must describe the future situation that will prevail once the problems have been solved. If we have made a problem 3 in the previous section, will be transformed into objective 3. The focal problem defined in the previous section becomes the main objective of the project. When setting objectives, this should be in line with the environmental plans and strategies that we have discussed before. And then at the end, we have to do an analysis of it. In some cases, different interventions may be used to achieve the same objective. The analysis of alternative compares the different options to help us choose the most advantageous project strategy. The methods used in this part of the project identification are also valid for the environmental component. In this matrix, environmental impact and criteria taken into account for separate matrix. It is important to relate and establish environmental conditions and relate it with the well-being. This will introduce a new concept: ecosystem services and human welfare. Ecosystem services are the many and varied benefits to humans provided by the natural environment and from healthy ecosystems. Such ecosystems include, for example, agroecosystem, forest ecosystem, grassland ecosystem, and aquatic ecosystems. These ecosystems function in healthy relationship, and it is grouped in 4 broad categories. Provisioning, that we will have food, raw material, medicinal resources. Regulating, we can have air quality regulation, climate regulation, water regulation, erosion regulation. All these moderation of extreme events as well. Supporting, that means the nutrient cycling, the photosynthesis and soil formation, and we always have to take into account the cultural as well. This can be mental and physical health, recreation and ecotourism, aesthetic values, and spiritual and religious values. We need to know the relationship between our environment and how are we affected by them and how do we affect them. So with this, we can do a quick activity that if you click this link, for example, you can see all the relationship between the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, with the environment. It has been created by UNEP, that is the UN Environmental Project. And it's very, very interesting to know all the links that are related. I have to this to do it yourself with the booklet that you will have in the website. So you can explore here all the links that we have. When we realize of the link that we have with every action that we are doing is affecting the environment somehow, this is when we can try to minimize and then identify that this is what we need in here, identify the impacts. In the same page, you can also find the relationship between the climate indicators and the SDGs. Here are the climate indicators relevant sustainable development goals. We will see the indicators later, but just for you to know, like CO2 concentration, ocean acidification, and how are they related and reintegrated with SDGs? How are they affecting to also the climate change? So first of all, once that we have identified our impacts that we will have in our projects, we will see we have to classify them. If they are positive or negative, because we are not talking only on negative impact. Sometimes it looks like negative environmental impact, but they can be positive. If we are doing a project where we are cleaning up a beach, for example, or where we are planting trees, will have a positive impact, right? Also, we have to divide it if they are temporary or they are permanent impacts. If they are direct impacts or indirect impacts, reversible, irreversible, recoverable, irrecoverable, periodic or irregular, continuous and discontinuous, simple, cumulatives, or synergistic. So here we will have the first step that will be is it positive or is negative. After knowing this, we will can say the second step will be the secondary classification, right? If they are permanent, they will remain there, or if it's we are constructing something, maybe it's only in the construction part where we are having this, so it will be temporary, right? Then, if it is extensive, it is affecting to everywhere. For example, if we are doing a lot of noise because we are having a concert, it will be extensive. Or if it is localized, because we are contaminated a bit a part of the soil, and then it is very localized. If it is reversible or irreversible, this is very important as well, because some of the impacts can be reversible and some of them cannot. And cumulative and punctual. Some of them are cumulative with another ones which make the impact more and bigger.